Hi, I'm Matt Egan, Editor-in-Chief of IDG UK Tech Media, and I'm here today with Jim Doherty of Dell Case, and we're here to discuss the migration from Windows XP after Microsoft ends support in April 2014. Jim, thanks for speaking to us today.
No problem, mate.
So, we know that lots of businesses, other organisations, individual consumers are still relying on Windows XP a long time after it stopped being the most recent version of Windows. In fact, some research says that maybe as many as 500 million PCs are currently running XP. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think for one thing, it's proved to be a pretty stable platform. I think people will have, particularly over the last few years with the economic climate, I've probably felt that, if it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think, it's probably not been uppermost in their mind. But maybe now that as the deadline approaches and as people now see maybe smarter ways of working, they're now, looking at it as something that actually, we better get across there.
So I suppose, listening to your answer there, it's possible to say that there are some positive reasons for people still using Windows XP. The fact that the software itself is, I guess, still fit for purpose, and I guess it shows that hardware that must be at least 7 years old is still working pretty well. I mean, would that be fair to say, do you think?
No, I think you're right, Matt. I mean, there's some element which says it's stable, and as I said earlier, it's working. I think the challenge, though, is, probably what can we do better? How can we take advantage of not just the new operating system, but advances we've made around hardware? How can people, work smarter?
Sure.
The power I often draw is that, we work in education, people are using technology at home.
Yep.
People are wanting to bring technology into the university that are light years ahead of what they're getting as part of the package. I think also the technology has moved on, not just the operating system, so they can take much better advantage. I think the technology is more reliable.
Yeah.
I think when you look at some of the, particularly for small businesses, the challenge of something going down, that's a big impact.
Yeah.
So if you can give them a more reliable operating system, a more reliable hardware base, and you can give them better ways of actually working, I think that's got to be a win-win.
So that's the customers, if you like, as the end users speaking to the kind of IT.
I think they are.
Support,
I think when you talk about the bring your own device.
Yeah.
And I think where that goes and where it ends up being, but I absolutely think that the customers are saying,
Sure.
and I think they're more technology savvy.
Yeah.
You think 12 years back,
Yeah.
people were just grateful to have something on a desk. There was no iPhone, there was no iPads. Sure. Or whatever. And I think that whole sort of consumerization and people feeling more comfortable about using technology says that you've got to step up to the plate.
Do you think that maybe relates a little bit to the way that people work these days as well, in the sense that work used to be a place we went to, and now it's a thing we do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I probably go into a Dell office maybe once a fortnight.
Sure.
My time spent on the road, and at the same time I got the same demands. I need to get access to that data.
Yeah.
So anything we can do to help that and make people more, and again, if you're thinking about relatively small businesses, a small percentage point improvement in productivity is a big impact in the bottom line.
Sure. And these are all very positive reasons, I think, that to consider moving on to Windows 8. I don't suppose I'd be doing my job if we didn't mention the also what we could broadly consider a slightly more negative reason, but a compelling reason nonetheless, which is, I guess, the security issue, which maybe is the thing that the IT guy might say to the end user.
Yeah, I think that's the one that will probably chime best with the IT guy.
Sure.
Because I think he's very much aware that how relatively exposed XP will be, particularly after the April deadline. But just I think also it's just the lack of driver support.
Yep.
Applications will move forward. People will want the capability that frankly
Sure.
XP is not there for. It's been good. It's kind of struggled through the value to it, but there comes a point where you say, it ain't working, guys.
And I think as well, I mean, you make a very good point, which is that you know, these days there is a driver coming from the end user into IT, and bearing in mind in a lot of small businesses, IT might just be the chief exec or the finance officer.
Or the guy that shows the interest.
Sure, and the best tool is often the tool that you have at hand, and so I think possibly we might see that end users are demanding to work in a more flexible way, and I think probably Windows 8 might help in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it will. I mean, I think people are, you know, to the point you made earlier, you know, looking at a whole different approach to business. They're more mobile. You know, there's not the kind of, you know, small businesses need to be flexible.
Sure.
They need to be responsive to their customers, and they need to be where the business opportunity is. And I think Windows 8 absolutely supports that.
Sure.
So, you know, we're seeing people now coming to us for a variety of reasons. I think the April deadline is certainly uppermost in their minds. It's not Armageddon.
Yeah.
However, you know, I think it's a good line in the sand. And I think they're now realizing that, you know, hey, we've got to start waking up to the fact that, you know, A, we've got to move, and B, there's probably smarter ways that we can use this opportunity and see it as a positive, as opposed to, oh no, kicking and screaming, let's move to. It's like, okay, how can we really take advantage of that and give our employees and indeed our customers, you know, a better way of working with our company.
Sure. And you mentioned the value question earlier on, which is always uppermost in small business minds anyway. And then, you know, we've had a pretty tough few years financially. You know, I think often value is perceived as the cheapest device. And I wonder if it's possible that the flexibility that's now available with the various form factors in the Windows 8 world could mean that potentially the flexibility equals value. You know, you could have one device that do multiple things.
Absolutely, and I think people understand there is a cost of doing business.
Sure.
You know, so we talk about, you know, yes, there's an upfront cost, but it's really more about, and again, if you're a small business person, what you don't need is downtime.
Yep.
You know, you shouldn't be spending your time managing your IT system. You should be making your IT system work for you. And I think if you've got the most sort of reliable kit and you've got a solid, secure, flexible operating system, then that gives you the best platform to kind of build from.
Great, thanks ever so much. That's really interesting. I mean, I wonder if you could give an overall message to those businesses, organisations that are still using Windows XP. You know, what would that be? What would you tell those organisations?
I think to see the cessation of support, if you like, as being a positive driver.
Sure.
You know, I think it's very much being couched maybe in a negative sense.
Yeah.
And actually, this is the time to say, okay, how do we embrace that?
Yeah.
How do we look at it from the positive thing? What benefits does it bring to our organisation? And how can we change the way that we work that, you know, helps us progress and move forward?
Jim, thanks so much. That's a really positive message, I think, and I agree. I think it's an important message to take forward. So thanks so much, Jim Rossi from Dell Case.
Okay, thanks for that. Cheers.